How's it going right there, eh? It's Denis here from Denis Logie Outdoors. I'm just working on making some charcoal so I can turn it into biochar. Yeah, so I just got a bunch of bones that I threw on there. I know it looks like I'm having a barbecue, but I'm not. And yeah, so I did this the other day. It worked out really good. It turned out good, but it was really smoky, and I think the wood was still a little wet. So this is my pile of wood that I'm using. It's old slab wood that I had a buddy of mine come over and help me cut some of this up into shorter lengths, probably something like 30 inches in diameter, or in length, sorry. And what I found was that also maybe because it's too uniform, so I had to kind of make sure I mix and match a little bit and kind of let some of the air get in to get it going really well. I see it's starting to turn into ash, so I'm going to have to start throwing some more fuel on. So down here I had the bottom plug out at the start to get some oxygen in there to get it going really well. And I got a bunch of little scrap wood. The smaller stuff, kind of use it to get it started, and then at the very end you want to use that to kind of help choke everything down so it doesn't all go to ash. So the other day I did get a whole barrel, and here's some of it here. I crushed it up a little bit. I should have crushed it up a little bit finer, and I think I'll do that with this batch. So this is mixed up with rabbit manure from my rabbit hutches and some water, and I just kept mixing it up. And so now I'm inoculating that or charging it with that, and I'll leave that for a few months, I think. And I'll show you what I did with the other stuff. I had actually, that whole drum was full, and so I was actually quite impressed with how much I got. So yeah, so I got a bunch of bones all set up here, so after a while I'll throw that in and charge it. The chickens, I had that in the chicken coop and they were picking all that stuff up, so it's been cleaned up for a while. Another bucket of bones. So I think the last time, I threw probably 3 or 4 buckets of bones, and it charred right up and they just crumbled right basically to nothing. So all the minerals and calcium and everything that's in the bones is now in that charcoal, and once it's inoculated, that'll go into the garden. I have a bucket of wood chips for the very end, and I have a bunch of straw right here. So at the very end, I'd used the straw the last time. So at the very end, once that whole barrel is full to the top, and you want to kind of choke it down, and you don't want it to turn to ash. Like I was saying, that's starting to turn to ash right now, so I'm going to grab some more wood and throw it on that to kind of slow it down a bit. And as you can see, there's really no smoke. There will be some smoke once I throw it on, and a lot of it's probably like steam. And what I'll do is I'll pause you for now. I'm going to throw some wood on it, and then I'll show you how much smoke's coming off it, and then I'm going to head over to show you what I did with the remainder of the charcoal the last time. Okay, so I just put another batch. I didn't put it too thick. I just put enough on to kind of spread it so it kind of covers everything. And then the whole deal is that you have a whole layer of wood, and then underneath that there's all a bunch of charcoal, and then it eventually starts getting starved from oxygen, and it stays into a solid state. And since you're keeping piling wood on the top, it's not all turning to ash. And at the start of this run, I actually had a bunch of stuff that was left over that didn't really carbonize, so I threw it back in. And you can see right now there's a little bit of smoke, and as soon as the heat gets going and it starts burning the off gas that's coming off of this new wood, it ends up burning that, and then the smoke disappears actually. and it's actually working out pretty good. Yeah, so like I was saying, that's the batch right here. I don't know, there's probably 20 gallons in that barrel. I'll leave that for, like I said, a couple months, and my plan is I'm going to use that and put around my apple trees and fruit trees. And I'll show what I did with the other stuff the other day. Alright, so this here is my compost pile that I shoveled out of the chicken run. So what I did is I put a 5-gallon bucket, dump it in, spread it all out, and then I kind of dug up all of this compost that I had sitting here and just kind of layer it, and then I just let the chickens get in and do their thing. And yeah, so they're stirring it all up. I'll shovel it back into a pile and just let them keep working it. And I also threw a whole pile in here, and they actually went right through it and stirred it all up and ate it. So obviously they like it. And I probably threw a 5-gallon bucket in here. This is all a bunch of kitchen scraps that I got from my dad and threw it in here. But there's really not much charcoal left. They actually ate it and went right through them. And then, it's hard to see, but I spread a whole whack at the bottom of their roost. So obviously they sit in here all night and load this whole batch of biochar or charcoal and turn it into biochar. That's the plan. And then every so often I'll just dig this out. See, get some eggs. I already collected a few eggs this morning. A few more right in here. I do have a couple of hens that are going broody. Yeah, so that's kind of what I've been doing with the biochar. I thought, or charcoal and turning into biochar, I thought that'd be a lot easier doing it this way. And try to incorporate it with the chickens and get them to do the work for me. So you can tell it's kind of a misty day. I'm not going to record too much longer. And that's why I'm kind of burning this. It's a pretty good day and the wind's blowing in the right direction. And yeah, so that's the deal. I'm going to head back up to the fire, see how that's doing. Okay, that's starting to burn down pretty good. You can see it's starting to get a little bit of ash on the end. I'll stir it up here a little bit. I don't like to throw too much wood on at once because then it'll start smoking. And it's not too bad today because obviously the wind's blowing in the right direction. I'm just doing this behind the house. I just don't want to tick any of the neighbors off and get a bunch of smoke blowing around. My plan is eventually this whole slab wood operation will be up at the woodlot, and I'm probably going to do a cone pit or dig a big pit, and that way I can just throw the firewood or whatever I have, brush, slash wood, slab wood, and just throw it all in this big pit, and then yeah, don't have to worry about the smoke and just kind of up there having fires anyway and just kind of sitting back. I do enjoy just sitting back having a fire. It's kind of a neat setup. It's all contained. And what's nice about this is that obviously I got a bunch of garden hoses here, and once I'm done and I figure I'm going to quench this, and I throw the straw and sawdust and wood chips on top to kind of smother it and choke it down and leave the heat inside to keep turning the bottom wood into carbon. I'll just soak it down with water, and obviously this is a drum, there's no holes in it or anything, so it'll hold the water, and then I can just leave it and quench it. They say it's a good thing to do that because it's so hot, and when you put it with hot water or cold water, it actually crushes it or breaks it all up, fractures it, I guess, and that's what you want. You want it all fractured and to open the pores up so that when you inoculate it with whatever you're going to do, it can absorb it and suck it right in. And the beauty about this setup with this drum, once it's all set up and I open the plug in the bottom and drain the water out, I can just roll this barrel and you can dump all this stuff out. And I seen a guy in Australia, he just lays a piece of tin on the ground, rolls it, dumps a bunch onto this tin, and then he can take the piece of tin, fold it up, and then dump it into a barrel like that, or into feed sacks, and then you can transport it and do what you want. Anyhow, that's it for now. This is kind of running a little long. I'm running over 10 minutes. So if you could, like, share, subscribe, comment. Thanks for watching. That's the end there, eh?